Imagine if I told you that a single nation, hidden in golden palaces and vast deserts, exercises more authority over world politics than you could possibly imagine. Imagine if I told you that there is a force behind every oscillation of oil prices, every significant Middle Eastern war, and even some of the largest world economic decisions. A force that dare not be challenged? Saudi Arabia, the petroleum-rich kingdom, pulls the strings that control some of the world's largest decisions. And no, it is not merely oil. This extends much further. From Washington to London, from Beijing to Moscow, Saudi Arabia manages to get its way. Governments obey to its needs, big corporations toe the line, and even the mightiest of nations walk on eggshells when negotiating with the kingdom. If you believe this is mere guesswork, guess again. The power is all too real, and much more than what the average person believes. Saudi Arabia has kept the world at its beck and call for decades with one mighty weapon: oil. With the world's second-largest proven oil reserves, the kingdom holds the world hostage to its energy markets. But it's not just about how much oil they produce. It's about whom they sell it to and whom they permit to buy it. In the 1970s, Saudi Arabia made a deal with the United States that would revolutionize history. In return for military defense, the kingdom would only sell its oil in US dollars. This deal, called the petrodollar system, made every nation in the world hold US dollars to purchase oil, essentially making the economy of America invincible. This one contract guaranteed that Washington would always have Saudi Arabia's back regardless. Human rights abuses, war crimes, political assassinations, none of that mattered so long as the oil continued to flow in dollars. But what if Saudi Arabia ever chooses to abandon the petrodollar? The answer is easy. The entire world financial system could come crashing down. The US currency would face freefall, prices would shoot through the roof, and financial anarchy would erupt globally. This is the kind of power Saudi Arabia has, and that's why the world's great powers always walk on eggshells while dealing with the kingdom. Though most people presume that the Middle Eastern conflicts are either a matter of religious differences or ancient animosities, the reality is far more calculating. Its war in Yemen is one of the most grotesque conflicts in recent history, but few doubt Saudi Arabia's involvement. Saudi Arabia also has a critical role in conflict, including that of the Syrian civil war, where it poured weapons and dollars into rebel fighters in an effort to overthrow an administration that had not been working in its interest. While the media tends to give these conflicts an isolated picture, the truth of the matter is that Saudi Arabia makes sure Middle East chaos suits its long-term interests. An unstable Middle East would mean that Saudi Arabia's power would fade, so stability is ensured so that the kingdom remains in command. The reason Western leaders hardly, if ever, criticize Saudi Arabia is straightforward: money. Saudi Arabia is among the largest purchasers of US weapons, and it spends more than $450 billion on military contracts. This is not merely about buying arms. It is about political loyalty. The moment any Western nation dares to criticize the kingdom, profitable deals begin vanishing, and economies begin to feel the pinch. But the power does not end with arms sales. Saudi Arabia has made calculated investments in corporations, media outlets, and even political campaigns. The kingdom owns stakes in several of the largest companies in the world, ranging from technology leaders such as Uber and Tesla to sports leagues and Hollywood productions. This makes sure that Saudi Arabia is not merely regarded as an oil state, but as a core participant in world business. It also ensures that criticism of the kingdom is kept to a minimum. Journalists who uncover corruption and human rights abuses tend to be under enormous pressure. They are silenced with money, and others just disappear. Politicians who are bold enough to speak out against Saudi Arabia tend to have their campaigns defunded, while governments who try to probe the kingdom suddenly encounter economic and political obstacles. This is not conjecture. This is an established fact that many world leaders prefer to deny. One of the most frightening demonstrations of Saudi power came in 2018 with the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. A former insider turned critic of the regime, Khashoggi went into the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, Turkey, and was never heard from again. Investigations later uncovered that a Saudi hit team had murdered and mutilated him within the consulate, sending shockwaves around the globe. But what followed was even more telling. While the world temporarily cried foul, Saudi Arabia did not suffer any actual repercussions. The US government went on with arms sales, European leaders continued to trade, and the kingdom itself just flat out denied it, even with mountains of evidence. The message was unmistakable. If you criticize Saudi Arabia, you can be killed, and the world will turn a blind eye. This murder was not merely about silencing an individual. It was a message to journalists, politicians, and even global leaders. If the kingdom could kill a journalist within a foreign consulate without any repercussions, then there were no bounds to its authority. The world noticed, but again, money trumped justice. Saudi Arabia is aware that the world is going out of oil. Nations are spending on alternative energy, electric vehicles are gaining traction, and fossil fuels will soon lose their monopoly. What does the kingdom do next then? The answer is in Vision 2030, a master plan that is meant to reimagine Saudi Arabia as an international business and technology center. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has poured billions into vision-forward ventures such as NEOM, a megacity set to be the world's most sophisticated. The kingdom is also taking stakes in leading tech firms, making sure that its global influence is not limited to oil alone. It is also going all out in the world of sport. The objective is to make the world forget Saudi Arabia's ugly history and view it as a visionary modern leader. It's an international PR campaign. Yet beneath the luxury and extravagance, the same ruthless power setup is still very much in place. The same regime that reigns over oil, dictates war, and squashes critics now presents itself as the future of international business. Saudi Arabia is not merely an oil state. It is a global superpower that works in the background. It dictates the world's energy, orchestrates wars to make its adversaries weak, and pays off governments, corporations, and media houses to keep quiet. The greatest delusion people have is that world politics is about democracy, human rights, and justice. In reality, money, power, and influence control everything. So the next time you glance at a Western leader holding hands with a Saudi prince, bear in mind that behind the handshake is a web of control most people can never comprehend. Saudi Arabia is not simply a nation. It is an influence that works behind the scenes to fashion the world. And the worst thing is that it does it without most people ever noticing. If this video opened your eyes, don't forget to like and subscribe, as this is just the beginning and there is more to come.